At the time of the shooting, police say the victim was here, first in line at the traffic light at Parkway and North, and that there was a big crowd of people hanging out on the corner, as there often is. After she was shot, they say that she just hit the gas. What isn't a surprise is it may be coming in late. The expectation was that the worst of it was going to be showing up around 2 a.m. in this area. That would put it closer to high tide. Now the expectation is it'll be more between 3 and 4 a.m., which means the tide will have gone out. Hilton's discovery at the Chevron station was also a chilling jolt for people who live in this neighborhood because they say they know him. They say Hilton and his vans and his dog have long been a fixture here in Murphy Candler Park. And in a real estate market becoming increasingly crowded and tough, industry experts say a rising tide of foreclosures can have serious implications for people who are making their payments. The city says it's no news that the bridge is disintegrating. That was documented when it was last inspected in 2006, and the bridge was already on a list of bridges to be replaced. The surprise was that it's gotten so much worse in just the past couple of years.
Fox 5's Charles Molyneux joins us live from Port Wentworth with the latest information. Charles.
And Art, in just a couple of minutes, a candlelight vigil is due to get underway here at the church right across the street from the Imperial Sugar Refinery. It was here actually a couple of hours ago that police detectives brought together the families of the 8 people still missing after the explosion at the refinery and told them that, yes, a 5th body has been found at the scene. Meanwhile, a growing list of local, state, and federal agencies continues its work at the scene. Massive cranes have been moving in to help shore up unstable areas of the scene as large-scale recovery efforts continue. So do small ones. Florist Gloria Rebenak delivers a loving tribute at the Imperial Sugar Refinery and a friendly XO hug and kiss at her shop.
It's rough. It's surprising it happened, and it's rough.
Around the town of Port Wentworth, flags have been lowered to half-staff. The devastated refinery keeps smoldering after an explosion and fire tore it apart, and firefighters, many of whom have friends at the plant, have been searching for the dead and still hoping for survivors.
It's still a rescue operation until it's proven that it's not.
When it becomes personal, it's tougher.
Port Wentworth Mayor Glenn Jones has been visiting families, keeping watch, and waiting for word himself.
One of the employees that is unaccounted for is a personal friend of mine.
Firefighters say they now want to concentrate their search on the huge 3 main silos of the complex. Trouble is, between outside and the silos, there's a lot of dangerously unstable building. That's what the big cranes are for.
We have to go through that rectangular building that suffered the massive amount of damage. So we have to shore up that so we have a clear avenue to bring in our rescue equipment.
Metro Police say even with the newly arrived massive gear, that process could mean another day of careful work and waiting.
It's going to be a lot of prayer and a lot of soul searching. This is a family knit group here. These people here are friends of mine forever.
Well, the candlelight vigil is due to get underway shortly. Meanwhile, the agencies now on the scene investigating this incident now include OSHA, the U.S. Chemical Safety Board, the State Fire Marshal's Office, the ATF, and a whole assortment of others. Actually, they are still in the recovery mode. The investigative mode, however, they say they are now transitioning into, and that process will continue over the next couple of days. But the recovery effort does still have to go on, and that heavy equipment is going to be brought to bear tomorrow to try to get into some of the silo areas that firefighters have not yet even been able to look into as they search for victims. Reporting live in Port Wentworth, Charles Molyneux, Fox 5 News.
Daunting task. Thank you, Charles.
Fox 5's Charles Molyneux is live on the coast tonight with more on our top story. Charles?
And Russ, Riceville Beach is certainly feeling the impact of Hannah as it comes churning ashore. We're actually still probably 3 to 4 hours away from the full impact of the storm hitting in this area, but we're certainly noticing intense winds, high surf, as well as very heavy rain, although at the moment it's giving us a break. You can actually see some of the houses on the shore here, mostly boarded up, but actually several of them are still occupied as people have opted to ride this storm out and wait and see what happens next. Into the night with windows boarded up, homeowners along the coast battened down to endure Hannah's assault. The rough seas gave Coast Guard patrols a workout.
This is a storm surge charge for the Carolinas.
And emergency managers went on to 24-hour alert in New Hanover County's Emergency Operations Center. Local leaders declared a voluntary evacuation in the area this morning. All day, last-minute efforts to secure homes battled the rising winds, while some tourists and residents of vulnerable barrier islands cleared out.
We were hanging out at the beach, taking surf lessons and things like that, and now we've decided that the surf is no longer welcoming, so we're going to go back to the mainland.
Although a few diehards declare that with Hannah's minimal strength, there is no reason to go, and they are staying the night.
So we intend to stick it out. We're going to be here. If anything, come and get us, somebody. But we're going to be boarded up tonight, and we're going to ride the waves.
So a lot of folks here are saying, planning on holding out as long as they can, and really not concerned by Hannah, even as the storm and most of its impact begins to come in and really make itself felt. The Atlantic Ocean is right out that way and churning up pretty heavily, and the tide is in fact coming up, but is expected to crest, normal high tide, right around midnight, and then start to recede before the full impact of the storm hits between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Reporting live at Riceville Beach, North Carolina, Charles Molyneux, Fox 5 News.
The crime is theft by taking, plain and simple.
Investigators allege Candace Rader and Valerie Cook went from being criminal defense attorneys to criminals themselves in defending their client Deborah Post back in 2002. Post pleaded guilty to murder charges for hiring confessed hitman Michael Razor to kill her husband Jerry Post. But a 1.5 year GBI investigation and now a 7-count indictment for theft says that Cook and Rader illegally took payment from Post in the form of the couple's Douglasville home that she inherited from her husband after his death.
His wife had him murdered, and ultimately she pled guilty to murdering him, and she used his property to hire lawyers to defend her for killing him.
You're not allowed to take money from an estate where the person that you're taking the money from killed the person they're inheriting from.
Ms. Rader vigorously denies allegations, and she expects to prevail.
Rader and Cook's attorneys say they've done nothing wrong.
I don't know how it turns into a criminal case when it's been a civil case now for a number of years.
Prosecutors say the property sold shortly before Deborah Post pleaded guilty to murder charges, and that Cook and Rader should have known that as the proceeds of a murder, it was not property that she was entitled to or that she was in a position to give to them.
Absolutely, should have known. It's Law 101.
They were breaking the law.
Absolutely.
Did Valerie Cook, in her capacity as an attorney, take money she wasn't entitled to?
No. And that's what we'll be defending.
DA investigators say if this case goes to trial, the court will be hearing testimony from the admitted mastermind of the murder, Deborah Post, who is currently serving life without parole. In Douglasville, Charles Molyneux, Fox 5 News.
Chief Judge Doris Downs says the recommendations will be costly, but the need is clear every day. Fox 5's Charles Molyneux is here now with that part of the story. Charles?
Intimately familiar, Russ, from her time as an assistant DA all the way up to Fulton's chief judge. Judge Downs has spent 24 years in that courthouse. She says hers is a job where you don't feel the love a lot. No matter what she does, somebody is going to be angry. She says the place is often full of upset, sometimes volatile people, and that the importance of security cannot be underestimated anymore.
These doors used to be propped open.
Fulton County Chief Judge Doris Downs is experiencing firsthand some of the security changes at the county courthouse. All the door stops have been confiscated, and even her own office requires a key.
I'm not going to be able to get in.
Judge Downs was both relieved and anxious that she was stuck at home during last year's deadly shooting rampage at the courthouse, allegedly by defendant Brian Nichols.
We've survived a really sad, tough year.
The judge applauds the findings of the Courthouse Security Commission, which recommends better surveillance, alarms, and access control, a top-level courthouse liaison officer with the Sheriff's Department, and about 50% more deputies to keep courtrooms safe. She says much has changed already, including the former turmoil in the Sheriff's Department.
When our sheriff, was sort of politically compromised, and we were all very much concentrating on the jail, where we felt was had the most risk during that period, but the courthouse did too.
Do you feel safe in the courthouse now, in your courtroom, sitting in front of all these people?
I absolutely do. I feel secure. What I'm aware of now is my job with regard to security. I was unaware.
As demonstrated by the episode with the door, Judge Downs acknowledges that some of the measures are likely to be cumbersome and expensive. But she says everybody in the courthouse is committed to do whatever it takes.
I personally am would be the last person to tell you that I want a sheriff guarding me at all times. There's no notice as to when the volatile situation is going to occur, that there needs to be consistent security there.
The one-year anniversary of the shooting rampage is 2 weeks from tomorrow. Downs says the county will mark the day quietly with a meditation service in the County Commission Assembly Hall across the street from the courthouse on Friday, March 10th. On the actual anniversary, March 11th, the courthouse will be closed. It is a Saturday.